out for multiple activism in my quest of understanding atheism. I have been talking to a lot of atheists, both online and live. Of course, I'm also trying to convince them that God exists and that Jesus is His Son. But I also have this interest in understanding why people choose to be atheists and what it really means, what it implies when you deny the existence of God. And I found through this conversation that many atheists do not just deny the existence of God, but in order to justify that denial, they also need to deny other things, including things that most people, I believe, think is self-evident. Now, just to be clear, this is not something all atheists do. In this video, I want to present you with 7 astonishing things that atheists have denied, things that I couldn't even imagine that people would deny. But of course, this is not something all atheists do. However, I think it is important to realize that all of these examples that I give are atheists trying to justify their atheism. It's not like we're talking about cucumbers and then the atheist say, by the way, I don't think I exist. No, this is something that they have said when trying to convince me or other believers in God that God is fake. So here's the first one. A debate between Frank Turek and David Smalley on the Unbelievable show, which is a great podcast and radio show, revealed that the atheist David Smalley could not agree with the statement that there were rocks on the planet, on the face of the earth, before there were humans. Now, why was that? Well, basically, Frank Turek tried to show that truth is immaterial, and truth is not dependent on a physical brain. But David Smalley disagreed, and he leaned towards the idea that no, truth is just, the product of human cognition. We decide what's true based on our thinking. And so for that reason, when Frank Turek pressed him and said, wouldn't you agree that the statement there are rocks on the earth was true even before there were humans? David Smalley said that does not make any sense. But I think what really doesn't make any sense is the idea that you couldn't say that there were rocks before there were humans. The second thing that many atheists deny is moral truth. The idea that there are moral facts, like rape is wrong, or murder is wrong, or stuff like that. And this is paradoxical because the vast majority of atheists that I've been talking to that first deny objective morality, that say, oh, it doesn't make any sense that there are moral truths, later assume that there are. and so, I had this friend in the UK when I was living there who just straight out denied. He said, no, it doesn't make any sense that there are any objective morality. It's just subjective, it's just what we think is moral, but we could be totally wrong, or rather there aren't any rights or wrong in that area, it's just what we decide. Now, he lived his life, and I witnessed this guy as if there were moral truths that was applicable not just to him but to everyone else. And so I can't understand why atheists not always, because not all atheists go this route, but so often try to deny something so obvious. The atheist that cannot say yes to the statement it is objectively wrong and evil to rape and torture a little child, that blows my mind. And it just goes to show what lengths you need to go sometimes in order to deny the existence of God. The third one is very interesting. I was talking to an atheist about the fine-tuning of the universe, which is the argument that there are constants in physics, like the strong nuclear force, or the strength of gravity, and so on, that are very fine-tuned for life. If you change these constants by just an extremely small amount, either the universe would collapse and draw back after the Big Bang, or it would spread so rapidly that stars and molecules would not be able to form. And this is to an astonishing small degree, which makes it a powerful argument for design. Now, when talking to an atheist about this, he argued that even if we change constants, another universe would perhaps be possible to sustain life. It's just that we can't comprehend it. And my response to that was that, well, in almost all of these cases, you get universes where there are no stars or even molecules. And obviously, we can't conceive of any physical life in that universe. But this atheist argued, it's just that we don't know about it, but it could be there. So basically, he argued that life is possible without biology. He literally argued that life is possible without molecules. And when I questioned that, he said, well, don't you believe in God? Don't you believe that in angels and spirits and they're, living without biology? And so in a very, very interesting twist, he was arguing for God's existence when he tried to deny the necessity of biology for physical life and deny the existence of God. So that was very interesting. Number 4, philosophy. Now, there are a number of physicists like Lawrence Krauss and Stephen Hawking who are atheists and who argue against the validity of philosophy, who say things like philosophy is dead and philosophy is unnecessary and doesn't bring us forward like science does. And of course that's self-contradictory, because the statement philosophy is dead is a philosophical statement. I have encountered several atheists who don't like philosophy at all and can't really see that philosophy is inevitable. Everyone have philosophical ideas. Even people who are not interested in philosophy at all or can't even spell it, they have assumptions and ideas that are philosophical in nature. So denying the validity of philosophy is really self-contradictory and not a very good route to go. But interestingly, many atheists have tried to go that route, possibly because they don't like where philosophy brings them in their mind. And on a similar note, the 5th shocking thing that atheists have denied is logic. I talked to an atheist just, I think it was 2 weeks ago, who denied the validity of logic, and he said that logic can't be verified and so we should not believe it. and I asked him if that was an argument for logic, and of course logic is the study of arguments, and he said no, it's just a fact. and so I asked him if that was an argument for that his previous statement was not an argument, and so on. And I teased him, and obviously he could not live by this at all. I have followed this man's activity on Facebook, and he's using logic and arguments all the time, especially when arguing against Christians. Now, why on earth would he deny logic? Well, simply put, he could not explain the existence of logic based on his verificationism, based on his idea that everything that we believe should be verified empirically by science. Of course, you can't do that with logic. So I needed to deny that and utterly contradict himself over and over again. Number 6. Many atheists deny that atheism exists. And this is true. They will put it something like this. Atheism is not a thing. Atheism is not a belief. Atheism is not something you believe in. Atheism is a non-thing. Somebody posted a meme that said, if atheism is a belief, then off is a TV channel. Basically, they think that atheism is nothing. It is the absence of belief in God, and so it's not a belief in and of itself. But of course, if this really was the case, then you could not defend it. You could not argue for atheism. You could not argue for people to abandon their faith. It's really, really stunning how many atheists, on the one hand, want to deny that atheism is a belief in order to escape the traps that they themselves have put up for religious people. They ridicule belief and they ridicule assumptions that people make. But then, on the other hand, when they actually defend beliefs that they have about the non-existence of God and that all religions are false and so on, they do defend a belief. And this irritates me a lot, because so many atheists can't see that if atheism truly was just the absence of belief, then they have no right whatsoever to argue that gods do not exist. Then they should be content with agnosticism and not argue that religions are wrong or things like that, or religions are stupid, or of course God doesn't exist and it's like believing in a spaghetti monster. Because as soon as they make those claims, they do believe in the non-existence of God. They do believe that there are no gods. And then atheism is not a non-thing, it's a thing, it's a belief. The seventh shocking thing that atheists have denied is themselves. I think it was a month ago, I had posted an article on a Swedish website pointing out that we shouldn't use self-contradictions when arguing. So for example, saying that there are no absolute truths is self-contradictory because that portrays that fact as an absolute truth. And an atheist, for some reason, didn't like that. Surprisingly, many atheists actually argued against my article and really wanted self-contradictions to be possible. But that's something for another video. This particular atheist straight out denied the existence of absolute or objective truth. And he said, no, that's just a religious idea. That's just something that you make up in order to defend your fairy tales. And then someone responded to him in the comments saying, well, wouldn't you agree that your own existence is an absolute truth? And he said, my work hypothesis is that I exist. So my friends, in order to question the existence of God, this guy felt it necessary to question his own existence. And this is more common than you think. Daniel Dennett, one of the 4 horsemen of atheists, famously denied the existence of consciousness. He says that it's an illusion of the brain, which means that the statement I exist is false, because there is no I. There's a brain that thinks that is an I, but according to Daniel Dennett, it's an illusion. And Frank Turek was involved in a debate with an atheist. I don't remember the atheist's name, but he was basically arguing that I do not exist. This self does not exist. And Frank Turek, said that was ridiculous. And then this atheist got really angry and said, well, don't you know I've actually written a book about this where I lay out all the arguments that the self cannot exist. And Frank said, who has written that book? And this is basically as self-contradictory as you can get. But it is not uncommon that atheists actually question their own existence, especially question their consciousness. They question the self within themselves, because that has to be immaterial in some kind of way, and they don't like immaterial things. Other atheists like Sam Harris say that consciousness is a mystery, and it's a mystery how non-conscious things can give birth to conscious things. And he leaves it at that. He can't explain it with atheism, and so he simply calls it a mystery. Whereas other atheists, they actually argue that consciousness is not real and that I do not exist. And again, all these 7 things, it can't be generalized to all atheists. But I think it's so interesting the lengths many atheists need to go in order to deny the existence of God. It's baffling. And I just pray and hope that they will realize that they are way better off if God exists. They will have eternal happiness forever if God exists and they find Him. Whereas on atheism, they will just die and everything they love and everything they see will just die. And it's so obvious that, please get out of your atheist chains. Please don't be afraid of seeking a higher power. You don't need to go to these lengths in order to deny His existence. You need to set yourself free so that He can set you completely free. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.